Sophia Hart was a woman the world admired. People called her the Golden Billionaire, the woman who turned a small idea into a global empire. Every magazine wanted her on the front page, every businessman wanted a meeting with her, and every event wanted her name in the VIP list. From the outside, her life looked better than a dream. Expensive cars, a private jet, a mansion with glass walls, and thousands of employees who followed her orders. But the truth behind this shining life was very different, something only she knew. Every morning, Sophia woke up in a huge bedroom that felt like a museum. Everything was beautiful, clean, perfect, and completely empty. She would open her eyes, stare at the ceiling, and whisper to herself, "Why do I still feel alone?" Even with all her money, she could not fill the silence around her. People believed she had everything. But the real story was that she had nothing real. Her parents passed away early in her life, and she grew up alone. She never learned how to trust people. She worked day and night, building her empire, building her name, and building walls around her heart. She became powerful, but she did not become happy. People smiled at her, but their smiles disappeared the moment she walked away. Her business partners praised her, but in secret, they envied her success. Sophia could see their fake smiles. She could hear their sweet lies. She could feel their greed. This was her world, rich but cold. Every day, when she attended a high-class meeting, she stood like a queen among people who only cared about her money. At parties, people raised glasses of champagne for her, but none of them would care if she disappeared the next day. She lived in a world full of luxury, but not a single person truly loved her. Sophia tried to hide her sadness with expensive jewelry and designer clothes. She tried to hide her loneliness behind strong decisions and bold speeches. But at night, when she returned home, she took off her crown and faced the truth. She had built an empire, but she had lost herself. The staff in her mansion respected her, but none of them spoke to her like a real human. They bowed, followed orders, and walked away fast. Sophia wanted someone to ask her, "How was your day?" But nobody did. Even her close team treated her like a machine, not a person. If she looked tired, they said, "You must keep going, the company needs you." If she looked upset, they said, "You cannot show weakness." No one said, "Are you okay?" One evening, Sophia stood on her balcony, looking at the city lights below. She watched people walking with friends, families laughing, couples holding hands. She whispered, "I have everything money can buy, except the things money cannot buy." Sophia Hart never imagined that her world, which took her years to build, could break in just a few days. But life does not always warn you before it destroys you. Sometimes it attacks suddenly, silently, and without mercy. And that is exactly what happened to her. It started with a simple morning meeting. Sophia entered her company's glass conference room like she always did, confident, elegant, focused. Her team stood up and greeted her, but something felt off. Their smiles were stiff. Their eyes looked nervous. The air felt heavy. Something was wrong. Sophia sat down and opened her laptop. Before she could speak, her finance director, Mr. Allen, pushed a file toward her. His hands were shaking slightly. "Ma'am, we have a problem." Sophia raised an eyebrow. "What now? Another delay? Another complaint?" He shook his head. "No. It's serious." Inside the file were pages of numbers, bank transfers, lost funds, missing reports. Millions of dollars had disappeared from the company accounts. Sophia frowned. "This doesn't make sense. These transactions. I never signed this." Mr. Allen swallowed. "The signatures look like yours." Sophia felt her heartbeat rise. She flipped through the pages. Someone had forged her signature. Someone inside her company was stealing money, and making it look like she was the one doing it. Before she could react, the conference door burst open. Journalists, camera crews, and angry voices filled the hallway. Someone had leaked the scandal to the media. Overnight, her reputation turned from golden billionaire to fraud queen. Reporters shouted, "Did you steal your investors' money? Is this the end of your empire? Are you running from the court?" Sophia tried to speak, but her voice drowned under the chaos. Her security rushed her out of the building, but cameras followed everywhere. The world she controlled yesterday was controlling her now. Within hours, her investors withdrew their support. Her company stock crashed. Her board of directors held an emergency meeting, without her. When Sophia arrived, the board had only one message. "You are suspended until further investigation." Sophia felt betrayed. These were the same people who had celebrated her success, taken her money, and smiled in her face. Now they were pushing her away like she was a criminal. When she went home that night, her mansion felt colder than ever. She sat alone in her living room with the lights off, trying to understand who had done this. She whispered to herself, "Someone inside, someone close." The next morning, things got even worse. Government officers came with legal papers. Her assets were frozen. Her accounts were locked. Her cards stopped working. She could not take out even a single dollar. She watched as officers sealed her office, her cars, even her private jet. Everything she once owned was slipping away right in front of her eyes. Her phone buzzed non-stop. Not with support, but with hateful messages, accusations, jokes, and rumors. People she had helped in the past now pretended they never knew her. Her friends disappeared like smoke. Her business partners shut their doors. Everyone abandoned her. 3 days later, the final blow arrived. Her mansion, her only safe space, was taken by the bank. She had to leave immediately. No argument. No mercy. Sophia stood outside her mansion gate with one small suitcase. That was all she had left. The same gates that once opened for luxury cars were now closing on her last piece of pride. She felt her eyes fill with tears, not because of losing money, but because she realized how alone she truly was. As she walked away, rain began to fall. The city lights blurred through her tears. She had no home. No money. No friends. No one to call. Everything was gone. But the hardest truth hit her when she looked up at the dark sky and whispered, "Why me?" And the sky whispered back through the rain, "Your story is not ending. It is only trying to begin again." She didn't know it yet, but her path was leading her towards someone who would change her life completely, a man she had never met. A black single dad janitor named Marcus. The wind touched her face, and she felt a strange heaviness in her chest. She knew something was coming. Something big. Something dangerous. A shadow was slowly entering her life, and she could feel it, but she didn't know who it was. Someone in her company was planning something. Something that would change her life forever. While the world saw a billionaire shining in gold, Sophia lived as a prisoner inside her own success. She didn't know it yet, but her perfect world was about to break. The empire she built with pride was about to collapse. And the people she trusted the most were the ones ready to push her off the edge. Her life looked strong, but it was hanging by a single thread. She had no idea that soon, in a matter of days, she would lose everything: her company, her money, her reputation, even the roof above her head. And when she fell the hardest fall of her life, it wouldn't be a rich friend who helped her. Not a business partner. Not a loyal employee. It would be someone she never expected. A black single dad janitor. A man she didn't even know, yet the rain fell harder as Sophia walked through the empty streets. Her clothes were soaked, her hair stuck to her face, and her feet hurt from walking for hours. She had no direction, no plan, and no idea where she was going. All she knew was that she could not stop. If she stopped, she would break down completely. Cars rushed past her, splashing water onto the sidewalk. People hurried under umbrellas, too busy to notice the woman who once ruled the business world. No one recognized her now. She was just another lost soul in the rain. Sophia reached an old building, dark, quiet, and almost forgotten by the world. It looked like the kind of place where life was slow and heavy. She stopped under its broken roof to take shelter for a moment. Her legs were shaking from the cold. She leaned against the wall and closed her eyes. "What happened to me?" she whispered. Her voice sounded small, nothing like the strong woman she used to be. Inside the building, a man was sweeping the hallway. He hummed a soft tune, something warm and simple. His uniform was worn out, and his boots were old, but his posture was strong. He was a janitor working the night shift, tired yet steady. His name was Marcus. Marcus had a calm face, the kind of face that had seen trouble but learned to smile anyway. He was a black single father raising his little daughter alone. Life had tested him in many painful ways, but he never stopped believing in kindness. He believed the world was still worth forgiving, even when it wasn't fair. When he heard footsteps outside, he looked up. Through the glass door, he saw a woman standing alone in the rain, shivering. She looked lost, almost invisible beneath the heavy storm. Something inside him said, "Go check on her." He put aside his mop, wiped his hands on his uniform, and walked toward the entrance. When he pushed open the door, the cold wind hit him, but he ignored it. "Ma'am," he called softly. Sophia slowly opened her eyes. She expected a guard telling her to go away or a stranger accusing her of loitering. Instead, she saw a gentle-eyed man standing in the doorway. "You look freezing," Marcus said. "Come inside. You'll get sick out here." Sophia hesitated. Why would a stranger care? Why would a janitor care? But she had nowhere else to go, so she stepped inside silently. The hallway was warm compared to the storm outside. Marcus handed her a small towel from the cleaning cart. "Here. It's not much, but it helps." Sophia blinked in surprise. "Thank you." It had been days since someone spoke to her kindly. Marcus didn't ask who she was. He didn't ask why she was out in the rain or why she looked so broken. He simply said, "Sit here for a minute. You need to rest." Sophia sat on a wooden chair near the wall. Her hands trembled as she held the towel. The warmth of the building made her realize how cold she had become inside and out. "You working late?" she asked quietly, trying to sound normal. Marcus smiled. "I always work late. Night shifts pay a little more." Sophia nodded. Something about his calm voice made her feel safe. It was strange, she had talked to hundreds of powerful people, but none of them ever made her feel safe. Marcus noticed she still looked stressed. "Rough night?" Sophia let out a small, broken laugh. "More like a rough life." Marcus didn't pry. He simply said, "Sometimes life breaks you before it builds you." His words hit her unexpectedly. They felt true. Too true. For the first time in days, Sophia felt her chest loosen, like her heart could finally breathe. This man, a janitor she had never met, was showing her more humanity than anyone had in years. He checked his watch. "I'm making some hot tea in the break room. You can have some if you want." Sophia nodded slowly. I would like that." And so, on a random stormy night, in an old forgotten building, a fallen billionaire met a kind janitor. She didn't know it yet, but this simple act of kindness would soon change her entire life. It would be the beginning of a story she never saw coming. Marcus led Sophia down the quiet hallway toward a small break room. The lights flickered softly, and the floor smelled of cleaning soap. It wasn't a rich place, but it felt strangely comforting. The walls were old, the furniture simple, yet the atmosphere carried warmth, something Sophia hadn't felt in years. Inside the break room, Marcus turned on a tiny electric kettle. It made a soft clicking sound as it began to boil water. The room had only 2 chairs, a small table, and a few posters about safety rules. But to Sophia, it felt safer than any luxury room she had owned. "You can sit," Marcus said, pointing to one of the chairs. Sophia nodded and slowly sat down. Her shoulders still felt heavy, but her breathing was calmer than before. She watched Marcus as he moved around the room. He didn't rush. He didn't act annoyed. He did everything with a peaceful patience she wasn't used to. Most people in her world only moved fast, fast money, fast deals, fast decisions. But Marcus seemed to live in a different rhythm, a slower and softer one. When the tea was ready, he placed a warm cup in front of her. "It's simple tea," he said, "but it helps." Sophia wrapped her fingers around the cup and felt the warmth spread through her hands. She took a sip. It wasn't expensive tea. It wasn't special. But somehow, it tasted real. For a moment, neither of them spoke. The silence was gentle. Finally, Marcus sat down across from her. "You don't have to tell me anything," he said, "but sometimes talking helps." Sophia stared at the steam rising from her cup. Her throat tightened. I lost everything," she said softly. "People I trusted, they destroyed my life." Marcus looked at her with calm eyes. Not surprised. Not judgmental. Just understanding. Sophia continued, her voice trembling, "I had money, fame, a huge company. Now I don't even have a home." Marcus nodded slowly. "Life can change faster than we expect. Trust me." "I know." His words made Sophia look up. For the first time, she wondered about him. "What happened to you?" she asked carefully. Marcus leaned back in his chair. His face grew serious, but not bitter. "I used to have a different life too," he began. "I wasn't rich, but I had a family, my wife, my daughter, our little apartment. It wasn't much, but it was happy." Sophia listened closely. "One night, my wife was coming home from work," Marcus said quietly. "A speeding car hit her. The driver ran away. She didn't survive." Sophia's heart sank. I'm so sorry." Marcus gave a small, sad smile. "Thank you. That night broke me. I lost my partner, and my daughter lost her mother." He continued, "I worked small jobs. Sometimes 2, sometimes 3. I cleaned offices, washed dishes, delivered boxes. Anything to pay rent and keep my daughter safe." His voice didn't shake. He spoke as if he had made peace with his pain long ago. "What about now?" Sophia asked. Marcus smiled faintly. "Now I work here at night and another job in the morning. It's tough, but my daughter laughs every day. That's enough for me." Sophia felt something shift inside her chest. Here was a man who had suffered more than she ever had, yet he still smiled, still helped strangers, still believed in goodness. "How do you stay so strong?" she whispered. Marcus looked at her quietly. "Because strength isn't about money or power," he said. "Strength is about choosing to be kind, even when life isn't kind to you." Sophia felt tears gather in her eyes, but she quickly wiped them away. Marcus pretended not to notice, giving her dignity. "You helped me," she said softly. "You didn't even know me." Marcus shrugged. "I didn't need to know you. You were hurting. That was enough." Sophia stared at him, realizing something important. In her entire rich life, she had never met someone so genuinely human. This janitor, this simple, hard-working single father, had more heart than anyone in her entire empire. His story didn't make her feel pity. It made her feel hope. For the first time since her fall, she felt the fog around her mind begin to clear. Not fully, but enough to breathe again. Marcus stood up and refilled her cup. "Tonight, you rest, he said. Tomorrow, you try again. Sophia nodded slowly. For the first time, she believed she actually could. Sophia woke up on the small couch in the break room. For a moment, she didn't remember where she was. Then she heard soft footsteps in the hallway. The smell of cleaning soap and the hum of the old building reminded her of last night, of Marcus, of his kindness, and of the storm outside. She sat up slowly, rubbing her eyes. Her body felt heavy, but her mind felt a little clearer. The world had taken everything from her, yet this broken building had given her something she hadn't felt in days: safety. Marcus walked in carrying a small lunchbox. "You're awake," he said gently. "You must be hungry." Sophia felt embarrassed. She was someone who once ate in five-star hotels, now she was accepting food from a janitor. But Marcus didn't make her feel small. His presence made even her weakness feel human. He opened the lunchbox and handed her half a sandwich. "My daughter made this," he said with a smile. "I saved one for you." Sophia hesitated. "I can't take your daughter's food." "You can," Marcus answered. "She always says I forget to eat. Today I didn't forget." Sophia smiled weakly and took the sandwich. It tasted simple, soft, and strangely comforting. After she finished eating, she looked at Marcus. "What do I do now?" she asked quietly. "My life is destroyed." Marcus sat across from her and leaned forward. "You don't rebuild everything at once," he said. "You start with one small thought." She frowned. "What kind of thought?" Marcus reached into his pocket and pulled out a small folded paper. It looked old, like he had carried it for years. "This," he said. Sophia unfolded it. On the paper, written in simple handwriting, were 5 words. "You rise when others rise." Sophia stared at it. "What does this mean?" Marcus looked at her with calm eyes. "It means you don't become strong by climbing alone," he said. "You become strong when you help someone else climb too. That's how life gives strength back to you." Sophia blinked. Those 5 small words felt like they carried more truth than anything she had heard from rich mentors or business experts. "When did you write this?" she asked. "After my wife passed," Marcus replied. "I was broken. I couldn't sleep. I couldn't breathe. One night, I sat alone in the dark, and I promised myself that if life ever tried to knock me down again, I would lift someone else instead of falling deeper." Sophia felt something shift inside her. "You carry this every day?" Marcus nodded. "Every day. Even on the worst days." Sophia looked at the paper again. The words were simple, but they hit her harder than any motivational speech she'd ever heard. These 10 seconds, the time it took to read those words, felt like a light turning on in the darkest room of her heart. She whispered, "I've spent my whole life fighting alone, and losing alone." "You don't have to keep losing," Marcus said softly. "You just need to stop fighting the world, and start fighting for yourself." Sophia took a deep breath. "I don't know where to begin." "Begin with the truth," Marcus replied. "You were framed. So prove it. Piece by piece. Step by step. Don't try to get everything back. Just try to get yourself back." His voice was steady, confident, full of quiet power. The kind of power that didn't come from money or status, but from surviving storms. Sophia felt tears forming again, but this time they didn't feel like tears of weakness. They felt like tears of awakening. She wiped them quickly. "Marcus, why are you helping me this much? You don't even know me." Marcus smiled. "I don't help people because I know them. I help them because I understand pain." Those words hit her like a warm punch to the heart. Before she could respond, a small voice came from the hallway. "Daddy!" A little girl ran into the room, Marcus's daughter. She had bright eyes, curly hair, and a smile that could lift any sadness. When she saw Sophia, she waved shyly. "Hi." Sophia felt her heart melt. She waved back softly. "Hello." Marcus lifted his daughter in his arms. "This is Lily," he said proudly. "My reason to wake up every morning." Sophia watched them with gentle eyes. Their bond was simple, pure, and full of love, something she had never experienced herself. And in that moment, she understood something. This man didn't just save her last night. He was giving her something far greater. A direction. A purpose. A second chance. And all it took was 10 seconds, and 5 small words. Sophia spent the next morning sitting near the small window of the break room, watching the sunlight slowly wash over the old building. For the first time in many days, the light didn't hurt her eyes. It felt gentle, almost hopeful. She held Marcus's folded paper in her hands, the 5 words that had changed everything. "You rise when others rise." That sentence echoed inside her like a quiet drumbeat. She whispered it to herself again and again until it felt like her own voice. Marcus walked in with 2 cups of tea. "You slept better today," he said kindly. Sophia nodded. "I did. Thanks to you and Lily." Marcus smiled. "Lily likes you. She says you're the fancy sad lady." Sophia couldn't help laughing. It was the first real laugh she had let out since her life collapsed. "Well, she's right," she said. "I am fancy, and I am sad." Marcus sat beside her. "Not for long." Sophia looked at him. "I want to try," she said softly. "I want to fight back. But I don't know where to start." "You start small," Marcus said. "What is the first truth you know?" Sophia thought for a moment. "I know someone forged my signature. Someone close to me." Marcus nodded. "Good. So, you don't chase the whole mountain today. You just look for one stone that doesn't belong." His simple words gave her courage. She stood up, straightened her clothes, and took a deep breath. "I'm going back to my company," she said. Marcus raised an eyebrow. "Are you ready for that?" "No," she admitted. "But I'll go anyway." Sophia walked to her company building later that day. The security guards looked confused to see her. Reporters still waited outside, but fewer than before. People stared at her with judgment in their eyes, but this time she didn't look down. She walked through the glass doors and demanded to see the internal reports. The board members refused. Her old assistant pretended she wasn't there. Employees whispered behind her back. Sophia felt the old pain rising, but she remembered Marcus's words. Piece by piece. Step by step. She spent hours searching through public documents, leaked files, online records, anything she could find. And then she found it. A small detail. A date. A signature on a contract she never attended. The man behind it was someone she once trusted deeply, her own partner, Derek. He had been stealing money for months and used her downfall to hide his crimes. Sophia gathered proof, contacted a lawyer, and brought everything forward. The media exploded again, but this time, with a different story. Billionaire found innocent, former partner arrested. Derek was cornered, forced to confess. Her name was cleared publicly, loudly, completely. When Sophia walked out of the courthouse, reporters shouted questions, flashing cameras everywhere. But her eyes searched for only one face. Marcus. He was standing near the sidewalk with Lily, smiling proudly. Sophia walked toward them slowly. "I couldn't have done this without you," she told Marcus. Marcus shook his head. "You did it. I only reminded you that you could." Lily hugged Sophia's leg. "You're not the sad fancy lady anymore." Sophia laughed, wiping a tear. "No, sweetheart. I'm not. In the following weeks, Sophia was offered her old position back in her company, along with full control. But she refused. "I want to build something new," she said. "Something with real purpose." She started a new business focused on helping employees, single parents, and underpaid workers, people like Marcus, people the world ignored. She hired Marcus as head of employee welfare, a position he accepted with tears in his eyes. His first task: build better support systems for staff like janitors, cleaners, cooks, and night workers. Sophia also created a scholarship fund for Lily's future. The three of them formed a bond that didn't look like a family from the outside, but felt exactly like one from the inside. One evening, as the sun set over the city, Sophia stood on the rooftop of her new office. Marcus and Lily were beside her, talking and laughing. Sophia looked at them and smiled softly. "Life took everything from me," she thought, "so it could give me something better." She no longer felt alone. She no longer felt broken. She no longer felt empty inside. Because sometimes, life doesn't save you with money. It saves you with people. And for Sophia, that person had been a janitor, a black single dad with a heart stronger than any empire. A man who changed her entire life. In just a few seconds.